most of you are aware of all our speakers, but in case if you're coming here for the first time, let me introduce our speakers for today. And the first speaker is Dr. Rebecca Wason. She's a dental surgeon, a human resource professional, and a college professor. She is currently pursuing her master's in theology and at the University of Toronto, and is passionate about apologetics and church history. The second speaker in that order will be Dr. Latha Christie, a senior scientist from Bangalore. She's completed a PhD in aerospace engineering from Indian Institute of Sciences, and also studied Masters in Divinity at SABC, Masters of Arts in a course in apologetics and counseling. And the final speaker for today is L.T. Jeyachandran, who is a retired engineer from the government of India, who is interested in theology and philosophy. And so, as we get into the topic, I would request Dr. Rebecca to begin this topic.
My presentation is not very long, just going to sort of get us going on this panel discussion. So what are we talking about today? We talk about, you might have heard terms like the law of attraction. You might have heard terms like the secret, and that we can create our own reality. You know, you want it, you say positive words, and you can get what you want, so on and so forth. So we're going to talk a little bit about whether you can create your own reality, and whether the universe is going to help you co-create your own reality or manifest your desires. So the basic idea here, we have been doing this series, the last two talks, we've been talking about whether the universe has a consciousness, a collective consciousness, whether the reality that we see around us, is it real or Maya, a perception of our ideas, a projection of our ideas. So we're coming, this is the last session in that series. So for those of you who have attended the previous talks, you should have an idea of what I'm talking about. So the basic premise is that the universe has a universal soul. You can call it a universal consciousness. Some people just say energy, because it's hard for people to say that the universe has a soul. So they just say energy, because, you know, energy is considered to be inanimate and does not really have consciousness. So whatever it is, the premise is that there is this universal soul, consciousness, or energy, and that we are a part of it. So we are a part of this universal soul. So in a sense, we are a part of the divine, and hence we can create and attract whatever we desire from it. For those of you who love the book, The Alchemist, which came out quite a few years ago. I think it's been over 10 years now, 10 or 15 years since Paulo Coelho wrote The Alchemist. It was very, very famous back when I was in university and everybody was reading it. It's a fictional tale, but the tale speaks of a young man who is looking for a treasure. And one of the most famous lines in the book is, when you really want something, the whole universe will conspire to give it to you. When you really want something, the whole universe will conspire to give it to you. So when you really want something, you can draw it towards yourself. So that's the basic idea here. And that is because we are united with the universal energy. So this is not a new thought. The rationale for this comes from Eastern philosophy, primarily, monistic or non-dualistic philosophies. We looked at this when we were doing our previous session on whether the universe has a consciousness. Primarily, there are two philosophies, dualism and non-dualism. Dualism posits that the creator and the created are two different entities altogether, that there is a distinction between the creator and the created. Whereas non-dualism or monistic philosophies say that there is only one reality. There is no distinction between the creator and the created. So there is no distinction between God and creation. Everything is one. In Eastern philosophies, there are many schools of thought. Possibly the most popular ones are Advaita and Visishadvaita. Advaita, of course, the most famous proponent of it was Adi Shankara, and Visishadvaita, Ramanujar Acharya, who spoke on a sort of qualified monism. Advaita says that monism is absolute. There is only the divine energy, the divine soul, that is the Brahman, and everything else is Maya, right? Everything else is an illusion. Uh, Ramanujar said, on the other hand, that our lives are not illusions. We do exist, we are real, but nevertheless, our soul is one with the divine soul. There is just the one soul. In Western philosophy, again, Western philosophers like Spinoza, for instance, he was a great proponent of monism. Immanuel Kant, again, he spoke of the idealistic world. He did not use the term Maya, but he said that the world is an illusion in the sense that what we see is only a perception of our own beliefs and our own thoughts. So we are only projecting uh, our ideas onto the world, and that is what we see. So there is no objective reality as such, according to Kant's philosophy. So Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, and then of course you have the sort of fusion, syncretic schools of thought popularized by Madame Blavatsky. She started the Theosophical Society. If you're familiar with her, she studied a lot of Eastern thought, and she brought this more into the Western consciousness, the idea of a universal soul or a universal consciousness that we are all a part of, the divine consciousness that we are all a part of. So, in essence, we are all little gods who are all part of the universal divine energy or consciousness. Today, you would hear various terms like Gaia theory or panpsychism. For instance, there is a channel called Gaia TV. It's a new age channel where you get this idea a lot. Gaia theory basically talks of the whole universe as an single entity, as a single organism. So we are all part of it. The rocks, the trees, the mountains, and the stars, and we ourselves, we are all one. Okay. And so we are all connected together, and that's just the one universal essence. Panpsychism again talks of the universe having a soul or a consciousness. So these are newer terms that you will hear, but it all goes back to the same ancient Eastern beliefs that come from Advaita, the Advaita school of thought, or the monistic school of thought, which says that there is no difference between the creator and the created. So, how is this manifesting done, really? You are part of the divine, you are part of the divine energy. So, what you want, you can get it from the universe. The universe has everything in it, and you can just draw it towards yourself. So, the idea is that you can use meditation, you can use yoga. There are different forms of meditation now. There are visualization meditations, for instance, where you visualize what you want, exactly what you want, and you keep meditating on it, keep focusing your energy on it, and that way you can draw it towards yourself. Then you can repeat certain phrases, certain chants, Om chants, or chants and mantras in Sanskrit, or now there are mantras in English as well that they say this. The I am chant is very popular these days, when especially in new age circles, when people they say that I am rich, I am beautiful, or whatever you want it to be. And, you keep saying that, or you keep reiterating it verbally, or you keep writing it down, and it's going to happen, and you can draw it towards yourself. So that is how people try to manifest their own reality. But how do you know what is right for you? Right? Because not everything that you want can be right for you. So, how do you know what is right for you and what is wrong? So, people turn to different sources for this. You can go into astrology, you can have a tarot card expert read your tarot cards to see your destiny, and to, um, people even do regression hypnosis. They try to regress back into previous lifetimes to see how the previous lifetimes were, so that they will have an idea of what they should expect in this lifetime. The Akashic records is again popularized greatly by Madame Blavatsky in the Theosophical Society. The idea is that there is a great repository of records in some astral spiritual plane. And these records contain details of every single person's life, not just this life, but every life that you have ever lived, and every life that you will be living in the future. So it's like the book of life, but a little different from the Christian book of life, because this talks about all the lives that you have ever lived or will live. And you can get access to these Akashic records through meditation. And once you do, you can download information from it relevant to you, uh, about your purpose in life, about the sort of man that you would like to attract to yourself, about the sort of children that you want to have, about anything that you are curious about in your life. Now there are certain spirit guides who protect the records, is what they say. So you would have to talk to your spirit guides and get them to give you access to the records. So there are various ways in the new age wherein you can get information on what is right for you, and how you can draw that into your life, and how you can manifest that in your reality, right? In popular culture, I've already told you a little bit about The Alchemist, which is a very, very famous book. You can read it if you like. It's fiction, but I think basically it talks about the law of manifesting, or the law of attraction. The Secret, of course, another very popular book. It sold millions and millions of copies worldwide. And this is the book that brought the whole idea of the law of attraction to the mainstream consciousness. And it talks about how you can attract your own reality, attract the reality that you want to yourself, by constantly repeating certain phrases, writing it down, etc. You have motivational speakers like Eckhart Tolle, who uses a lot of these philosophies. You can even get Deepak Chopra, the guy who's the very famous new age motivational speaker. All of them talk sort of at the same level. And then you have celebrities like Oprah Winfrey, who love this idea, and they propagate it as well. Now, what exactly is the problem here? This sounds harmless, but is it just harmless self-motivation? I mean, we can keep motivating ourselves. Now, if I want to, people say, psychologists say that if you keep looking at yourself in the mirror and you keep saying that, okay, I want to lose weight, you keep telling yourself that, and that would motivate you, propel you to actually get out there and work out and lose weight. So is this harmless self-motivation, or is it something more insidious? We should ask ourselves that. Okay. So some of the questions that I would just like for you to put out, just think about. I'm not going to say that this is wrong or right or anything like that, but just some things that you should possibly think about is, what if you want to attract something that belongs to somebody else, that does not belong to you? Okay. Is it okay to get it? Because human beings, we have ideas of what is right and what is wrong. And generally, in any culture, it is wrong to covet something that does not belong to you. Covet your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's husband, for instance, and try to, attract that person towards yourself. But what if you really want that person who does not belong to you? Is it okay to try to draw that person to yourself by using, manifestation techniques? Will that hurt you in some way? Would that be considered wrong? Right? Because if you look at monistic philosophies like Advaita, the universal soul or Brahman is neither good nor evil, right? There are no conceptions of morality or objective morality in the Brahman, whether you're a good person or a bad person. We are all part of the universal soul. So, you could be a wonderful person and another person could be a murderer. It doesn't matter. The murderer's soul and your soul, you're all the same because you're all part of the universal soul. Uh, but nevertheless, we human beings have very clear ideas of good and evil, right and wrong. We have very clear ideas of what is pain, what is suffering, what is justice. We want to see justice done when we see an injustice happening, right? So it's not easy to say that, okay, it doesn't matter. We are all part of the universal soul. So it doesn't matter if somebody hurts somebody else, we are all going back to the same source anyway. It's not easy to say that, right? So where do our ideas of morality come from? If in fact we are all part of this universal soul that does not have any idea of right and wrong, right? So that's a question we need to ask ourselves. And why is it that only some people gain enlightenment through yoga and meditation? Only some people realize that they are divine and that they are part of the divine soul, whereas other people do not realize it, right? And possibly the most important question that you have to ask yourself is, if there is a divine soul, a divine consciousness, a universal consciousness, why would it cut itself down into small individual mortal souls and forget its own divinity? The idea in Advaita philosophy is that um, this divine soul wanted to experience human life. It wanted to experience mortality. It wanted to learn new things. It wanted to, enjoy life and the pleasures of life, and that's why it did it. And it forgot its own divinity so that it could learn new things. But keep in mind that this is supposed to be like God, the universal soul. So it already knows all things. So why should it want to experience different things as a human soul when it can possibly experience it in itself? Because God is supposed to be self-sufficient and have all knowledge in himself. So why should he want to, cut himself down into smaller mortal souls to experience life? So these are questions that are a little tricky to answer in this sort of a worldview, but you should ask yourself these questions and really think about whether this worldview could be true and whether it makes sense to you. I'm going to pass this on now to Dr. Latha, who will be talking about this same concept from the scientific point of view. Can we attract things to ourselves due to changes in the quantum world at the subatomic level, or can we attract things to ourselves by changing our vibrations? So Dr. Latha is going to talk about it. Thanks. Thank you.
So thank you, Rebecca, for giving that introduction. So good evening to every one of you. Today, my talk will be on, can we create reality? Is it a myth or fact? I will be dealing this question from science. I will try to make the science little easy to understand. Okay, because even I was trying to understand this concept for a long time. Many great scientists follow this concept. You know, Roger Penrose, he said that consciousness is non-algorithmic. He said consciousness exists and it is apart from material. See, you have to understand the difference between that an electron is conscious, your shoe is conscious, your table is conscious, and everything is conscious, okay? Otherwise, the other distinction is materialism. Everything is just material. There is no consciousness at all. The third one is there is consciousness. We are made of a conscious soul plus a material body. And that one who made us should also be a conscious mind, because without a personality, nobody can make a thing with personality. Without a conscious soul, nobody can make a conscious soul, right? So that's why these are the three types of distinction. Now, can we create a reality? This sort of concepts is followed by those who believe that everything is consciousness and we are part of the quantum consciousness, and by altering the consciousness or becoming part of that consciousness, we can create reality. We can become a creator and we can alter the reality. We can alter our fate, such things. So now let us find out whether that is a myth or it is a fact based on science. Outline of my presentation would be based on these 5 concepts. What is the law of attraction? And how is this law of attraction linked to the law of vibration? And how are they both linked to quantum mechanics? Because every video you hear, you can see there is some quantum term getting involved. Quantum consciousness, quantum methods to increase your energy, quantum methods to increase your vibration. So what is this quantum mechanics all about? Are there curious parallels between love between two people and entanglement between two particles? And by altering our consciousness, our state of mind, can we create our own reality? So this is the outline of my talk. I hope I'll try to finish in the next 20 minutes. So, you know, William Blake gave a beautiful quote. Your imagination is the single most important asset you possess. Yes, imagination is so important. And when you make the child more imaginative, it will become a creative person at the end. So you should make the child to ask questions. That's why imagination plays a vital role. C.S. Lewis, he used imaginations and made a lot of stories and helped people to find that belief in God is rational through his stories, through his imaginative things and perspectives. He made people to believe in that. And now recently, if you see movies like Star Wars and many other movies, make people to wonder there is a force behind everything. And if you become one with the force, and if you feel the force and move with the force, you can hit the bullseye. You can get the target what you want to achieve. So this is this sort of imagination. This is the way they baptize the imagination to fit this concept of law of attraction by moving along with the consciousness, along with the great consciousness of the universe. So now, is this a depreciation of reason and only an appreciation of experiences and senses? Or is there a reason involved? How do you find out whether it's a true science or pseudoscience, right? So if there is a reason involved, it should be true science. If there is no reason involved and it's just an experience and senses based on experiences and senses, then it is a pseudoscience. So let's today get into science to find out whether this law of attraction as a pseudoscience or true science. Before that, let me tell you what is this law of attraction. The law of attraction is based on the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring positive and negative experiences into a person's life. For example, I just think all the time positive, 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 then I will never get negative things in my life. So this belief is based on the ideas that people and their thoughts are made from pure energy. And through a process like energy attracting energy, like energy attracting like energy, a person can improve their wealth, their health, their personal relationships. So you should always be associated with people with positive energy. You should never be associated with people with negative energy. So that is the concept. So will the universe give everything, whatever you desire by using this technique? So there are three choices. Some people sit there waiting that the universe will deliver. Some do meditations, prayer, or some levitations, or some positive affirmations, hoping that the universe will deliver. When the universe is not delivering, many think that, okay, it is not time for me for the now, because there is a divine time for the universe. So now what is my job? My job is to prepare my container. My container should be strong. So the universe is watching my container when it will become strong. So when I make my container strong, I can receive what I want. I can attract that. So the people are engaged in making their container strong using positive affirmations. So once they make it, finally they believe that the universe will smile at them and say, now is the time you will realize everything what you want. You have become divine and you're part of the reason for divine timing. So this way we elevate ourselves to a mini God. We can create reality by doing something. So the full thing is put on you, how you can get it done through this positive affirmations. So now if this positive affirmations doesn't work, what will happen to your person? So if this will this positive affirmation work? So now do you want to be wealthy? If you want to be wealthy, you should have that mindset. Equip yourselves with the skills to know how to make money and how to make money to manifest. So this is the term what Rebecca was speaking. Do you want to attract the love of your life? Everybody wants that. So love yourself. If you want to attract, love yourself. Be in love with yourself. You don't attract what you're not. So by chance you believe in your heart, okay, I'm not finding anyone. Then it's a negative thought. You will never get it because negative thought reinforces negative. So what they say is, if you want to get a particular person in your life as the love of your life, you make a round circle and think that this is a particular person and make some lines around it and put their specifications. I want such a person with such a specification. Now you try to become that specification and you become that essence of that, and you try to walk with that person. You try to live with that person. Effectively, that person is not there, but once you start doing things based on that, you will attract that person. If somebody doesn't attract, will they not become cranky at the end of it? I'm not sure, because this is putting so much of stress on you that even 1 minute, if you think that, oh, I could not find anyone, you will feel so sad within you, right? Might be something I need to do. Might be I need to use a crystal. Might be I need to use something. So you keep doing one after the other, right? So is this right? Because that's why this philosophy is very important to find out, is it true or not? So if you want to be happy, tell to the universe, I want to be happy. I trust you can make me happy today. So and you just trust the universe. The universe is going to take care of you. So is the universe personal or impersonal? How you know that the universe is hearing you? Does it have a mind? Because unless you believe that the universe has a mind, you cannot think that the universe can take care of you. So now you think that universe has a mind, universe has a power, universe has a force, and you hit the rock bottom, you look at the universe and you trust the universe. You can manifest your dream, you can manifest your business, you can manifest your husband or wife, and you can manifest your prosperity. So now you are in a partnership with the universe. So this is the belief that you can get whatever you want. How do you do that? What are the positive affirmations? First, they say that you examine your limiting beliefs. Are they positive or destructive? Second, they say that change your inner monologue, because we keep speaking to us, right? So they say that you need to think of something positive. Change your posture. I was just looking at some of the videos. One person was jumping up and down for a long time because he felt that by doing that, he can increase his positive vibration. The other person was chanting, and he felt that he can do by doing that his positive vibrations. So now once they get that one, they believe that the universe is smiling at them. And so now they feel that they are one with the universe. Is this their senses or this is rational? But so there is a partial truth in this. But doing all these rituals to get that one, there is no empirical scientific evidence. So I'm going to speak about vibration. I'm going to speak about frequency. I'm going to speak about energy, because many don't know what is the fundamental behind the vibration, frequency, and energy. And they use the term just like that. So I wanted to give you the concept of this and to explain how this vibration, positive vibration and negative vibration, is a pseudoscience. Because about 99% of your body is made up of atoms, right? And these atoms are hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, and all the other elements that are essential for life. So now the vibrations or movements of the atoms and molecules produces many times in our body, we have a current, electromagnetic energy, and mostly the thermal energy as heat. So everything in our body or in the universe is in a state of vibration because of the atoms. Everything is made of atoms. If somebody has designed it, he might have used the same building blocks everywhere. So everything is made of atoms. Now, what is the difference between vibration or frequency? So, you know, now you call hello to your friend. How does she hear that voice? Because you cry out hello and you create a disturbance in the air pressure. That is vibration. So that travels from your mouth and picked up by her. So sound waves are characterized by frequency. So sound waves are characterized by frequency and they travel in waves. This was first done by Ernst Chalny. So all objects have a set of natural frequencies at which they vibrate. So based on this vibration, an object at a higher energy state vibrates fast. And so hertz refers to the number of vibrations or cycles per second. If you see this metal square, this is a sand, and when you put it and you use a bow and try to play, when you so now this sand particles moves around until they reach parts that are not vibrating. This is a different music pattern. You get a different pattern. So this is quite interesting. Moving a violin bow against a metal plate creates a different sort of vibration and different frequencies. So each vibration corresponds to different frequencies. Now let me come to the myths. So people say the most important frequency is 432 gigahertz. The brain and the earth itself work on the same frequencies. And when we are in resonance, we are in perfect balance, producing positive feeling. When the tuning of our music can resonate with the earth's tuning frequency, we can tune our consciousness to align with the positive light. So this is one myth. They believe that this 432 hertz is something important. So your music should be tuned to that 432 hertz. And you should keep yourself in balance with that. And you should resonate yourself with the earth's frequency. The another one is 7.83 hertz. This is a human resonance of earth. It's mostly linked to hypnosis, meditation, and human growth hormones because it's quite close to brain alpha frequency. So people say we need to tune our brain waves close to the planet pulse to get what you want. And the third myth is somebody has put the sun's picture and said that sun is chanting Om mantra. So now these three things, let us try to understand based on science. The first myth one, the 432 hertz unifies a property of space, time, light, gravity, matter, magnetism, biology, DNA code, and consciousness. It has profound effects on expanding of consciousness, and it creates resonance with our bodies and balances the emotional and mental state. That's why we have healing energy. So better use music at 432 hertz. That's what they say, because this music is said to be connected with everything, that is including even the works of the ancients, who constructed the Great Pyramids. They're all in 432. So the structure of our atoms and DNA resonates with respect to the nature, because it is the natural frequency of the universe. So it has the power to attract the masses to the music and even cure diseases. So this is so much hype is going on for the 432 hertz. Now, actually, if you see, there is a conspiracy theory behind this. Now, the ISO standard is 440 hertz. It's not 432. So why it has become 440 instead of 432? There is a conspiracy theory behind it. The change from 432 was there. They say that earlier it was 432, but then in 1939, it became 440 because of the Nazi spokesperson, Joseph Goebbels. So he did, because he's the one who did so evil experiments on children, on twins. So they say that he did it to increase the anxiety levels of individuals, causing them to think and feel as a prisoner to their own anxiety. So it is like a raging war on consciousness. So they purposefully changed to 440 because the ISO standard endorsed it in 1953. So they said that Joseph Goebbels is the responsible person behind this. And then later Rockefeller used it and forced American government to use that. So this is a conspiracy theory, because there is nothing like that. Tuning your muzzle to the music to your specific frequency will never unlock cosmic powers. And it is not true that all the old instruments used 432, because the term hertz itself has appeared only in 1930. And also no ancient flutes or bowls were tuned to 432. They said that Pythagoras tuning system or Mozart music used 432, but when you find the fact, they never used it. So even 432 is not the frequency of the heart or brain or earth or sun or water. I will show you what are your frequencies. So your music also will not sound something great at 432. So tuning to different pitches makes no difference. So this is a myth. So next myth is, so this I wanted to show you because they say that it is the frequency of the heart and brain. Let me just show you some 2 minutes. If you want to know the frequency of your brain, there is something called electroencephalograph. Using that, you can measure the brain waves of different frequencies. So electrodes are placed on specific sites on your scalp, and the impulses, electrical impulses within the brain is measured. So with this one, they found there are 5 types of frequencies. So the lowest in deep sleep, you have the lowest 4 hertz, that is delta, then theta, when you're daydreaming or meditating, then the alpha, which is the normal thing. This is a normal relaxed adult. But when you're doing an analytical problem, you enter into beta, and then the gamma is the frequency of the brain. So if you see, none of that is resonating with 432 hertz. So, and that if you see this alpha frequency, it is 8 to 12. So now it's between 8 to 12. So now if you see the hertz frequency, it is 7.83. So what they now say is, if you tune the alpha frequency to 7.83 hertz, you will be able to get a beautiful balance. So what is the 7.83? Let me just explain you. You know, the earth behaves like a giant electric circuit with a natural pulsation of 7.83. This is between the ionosphere and the earth's surface. It becomes a resonator and you get a frequency. So because it is between this volume, it is affected by lightning, it is affected by ionospheric changes, by solar activity, by volcanoes, by temperature. So it varies from 7.83 to 32.4. How would you be able to adjust your alpha frequency to this? So there is less rigorous scientific evidence of these connections. Even they say positive emotions are higher frequency, negative emotions are lower frequency, but there is very minor change, and there is no peer-reviewed articles on that. And next, the third myth is sun is chanting the sound of Om. So now what is the sun chanting or making sound? The surface of the sun expands and contracts in regular cycles of every 5 minutes. So this every 5 minutes, it just expands and contracts. Because of this one, there is a frequency associated with the sun of 0.0033. So this is a resonant frequency of the sun. So human ear is only can listen to 20 to 20,000. So this sound you cannot even listen. We can only hear through instruments. And so this is just a sound because of this oscillation of the sun and the contraction of the expansion of the sun on the surface. Now, next is, let me come to the energy concept. So I have explained you about vibration, about frequency. So you can easily, you can ask me questions at the end. So by tuning your frequency or vibration to some other tuning to the earth or your surroundings, nothing great is going to happen. So every theory had to be put on the balance and weighed. Now, what is energy? I'm just going to move fast. Energy is the driving force of the universe, right? E is equal to mc squared. So now it is a quantitative property. It may be kinetic, potential, or others. So now we know that 3 law of thermodynamics. I'm not going into detail. So the total amount of energy is constant. And also the disorder will always increase. And that is at one particular temperature, the molecular movement stops. So energy is not a substance to be held or felt. We cannot create energy, and we can only change from one form to the other, right? This is all about energy. Now coming to quantum, this energy of the universe. So the universe is not saying today it was yesterday. It was cooler earlier. It was hotter earlier. Now it is cooler. And it was bigger in the smaller in the past, and now it's becoming bigger because it's expanding. It's expanding. So a second ago, the universe was slightly smaller, and now after a second, it will be much bigger. So now there are around 6 different eras for the last 14 billion years. Scientists have qualified. We are in the dark energy era. So what is this dark energy? This is responsible for the universe to expand. So the universe is accelerating at a greater rate. Every day it's increasing the acceleration. So the dark energy is responsible for this, they say. But they don't know what is this dark energy. So now they say that this is a new form of energy. And at one point it will take over. And finally, everything will become one big galaxy, and the universe will become one big galaxy, and nothing will be there except this giant elliptical galaxy and the dwarf stars. So now if you want to look at the universe, you have to look up. After some time, it will not be there. That's why scientists are telling. So now this energy concept about the universe, if you see, the energy of the universe is 0. Total energy of the universe is 0 because when the physicists say positive energy, they call it as matter, antimatter, light as positive energy. And there is an equal amount of negative energy stored in the gravitational attraction. So it has to have an equal amount of negative energy to the positive energy so that it exactly cancels. So the total energy of the universe is 0. So you cannot create energy or by your own power. So energy gets transferred from potential to kinetic when you move, but that doesn't create energy. So you can never become a creator of your energies. So that is from science. Now coming to quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics, they say it's so weird physics. Either a photon or an electron is both a wave and a particle. Now, if you take the wave nature, you end up with a quantum field theory. What is quantum field theory? Every particle in the universe is a tiny ripple of the overlying field. For example, the minutest particle is the electron, up quark and down quark. So with all these things, there is a field involved, and that electrons are vibrations in the electric field, quark is vibrating in the quark field. So everything is energy and everything is connected to everything through fields. So there is an overall connection. So there is a quantum connection going on. That's what it says. So string theory says this tiny vibrating strings or energy make up every particle. Now, like guitar strings produces vibrating various frequencies, each string produces various, and by that you can define particles. Now, you human being like us are a coalescence of energy in a field of energy which is connected to others. So this energy field is a central engine of human being. So this is not about connectedness. This is about everything God has made, someone has made, if you believe, it is based on the same building blocks. So what is string theory? String theory is just an untestable theory. It's just a theory, like a lot of other theories have been brought forth to find the beginning of the universe. And if there are so many, everywhere you see electromagnetic fields, you can never become one with the electromagnetic field, right? So everywhere there is a field, you can never become one with a field. You are a distinct entity. You have a personality. You can never become one with the energy or one with the electromagnetic field. So now coming to the quantum consciousness. What is this consciousness? They believe that through quantum consciousness, you can achieve a mega consciousness and you can get whatever you want. So in quantum mechanics, before observations, everything will look in a superposition state. I have explained in the last talk of mine, using the double slit experiment, that once you observe, a particle takes its place. Before you observe, it can be in a multiple state. But once you observe, a particle takes its state. So people believe that unless I observe, universe doesn't exist. But there is a quantum place that's a subatomic and also a bigger particles, that is the big world outside that you see. So it's not only the small world. So you need both the things. It cannot become everything. So this is what happens only in the subatomic range. So now coming to quantum entanglement, to answer my final question, is love between two people and entangled between two particles are the same. So this entanglement, imagine you get a dice. No matter how you toss them, they finally count up to 7. Whatever you do. So for example, when you toss one of the dice, you would have no idea, right? Till it falls down. Once it falls down, for example, it takes 5, automatically you know the other one will take 2. So now if one becomes 4, the other one will become 3. So you are shocked. That is the way if you get a set of dice, DIC here. So you call it them as entangled one. Now you could take one of the dice by a friend to China, the other friend to India, and now you roll your dice. The one becomes 5, the other even there it becomes 2. So what do you feel? That is the entanglement. Last time I spoke in detail, so I'm not going to speak in detail. If you see this one, 2 entangled particles. Now, if one particle, till you measure both of them, it is in the every state. But this measurement angle, you can see this is in the up direction. This person is spinning down, the same measurement direction. The other person is spinning down, one up and the other down. So you can see no matter whatever you do, the spinning will always turn the other side, even how much ever you move the other one. So they think that if two people are in love, they are entangled, they can be anywhere. Their heart and lungs will be, their heart and mind will be united. But with all these theories, finally, you will get entangled with someone wrong person and you might spoil your life. So you can never compare this entanglement, which happens only at subatomic particles. It doesn't happen in the bigger world around. So now coming to the last part, can you alter your consciousness? You will get unlimited power and you can do anything. You can have it as you imagine. You can stop your aging. You can do it by altering your consciousness. By astral projection, you can travel to other planets. You can use your psych powers for witchcraft and for astrology. Both magic and witchcraft belongs to supernatural. So where you use your mind and use your psych powers to achieve some things. And now when you dabble with the psych powers, something happens. You know, there is a spirit world around. The spirit world has spiritual beings, both good and bad. When you dabble with the occultic practices, you might enter into connection with some evil spirits and which can possess the body and can do a lot of things. So for example, I just wanted to give you one example and move on. This is given in Los Angeles Times, October 19, 1988. This big title came. This happened after Anton LaVey, he published the Satanic Bible. The rise of Satanism was due in the 1971 publication. And at that time, Anton LaVey published the Satanic Bible. So the Exorcist movie and that book, everything came. And in that time, in 1988, 4 teenagers, they had the rush. They always felt inside them telling something to kill something and get the joy out of it. So they killed a kitten, and suddenly one boy called Jim, he heard a voice within him, do it now, do it now. And the other person took his bat and killed one of them. Tim, they killed. So when the police arrested them, they admitted in an unemotional manner. They had killed Tim and they tied his body to a boulder and put him in a will. The newspaper report continues to tell that they perpetrated the crime because out of curiosity and partly because they wanted to sense the emotions of killing someone. One of the boys told there was a strange voice within them telling, watch out, kill someone, kill someone. They were practicing all these rituals. So when you go beyond this, normal ritual of affirmations might not be anything wrong. But when you dabble with occult, when you get into something beyond your senses and you leave your body and get your mind, your psyche, try to alter your psyche, you can enter into this evil spiritual world. So you need to be very careful. And this is one danger behind it. The other danger is, even if it is a good ritual and you don't get it, you have worked hard for it. And so what will happen? The third danger is that you become the master of your soul and you become hard-hearted. You know, there is a poem called Invictus. It is called Unconquerable Soul. The meaning in Latin is unconquerable. So he writes here, out of the night that covers me black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstances, I have not winced nor cried aloud under the bludgeoning of choice. My head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of shade. And yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So the underlying philosophy behind this is you create your own reality. You are responsible for whatever happens to you. The reason that events happen in your life is because you have made them to happen to you. You brought them into being because of your consciousness, because you are having the power. So now, last 1 minute, what I wanted to say is, why this man Invictus, why this Henley only wrote this poem called Invictus. He wrote in 1875 in his mid-20s. You know why he wrote, I'm the master of my fate? When he was very young, because of tuberculosis, he lost one of his legs and he was into depression. And so he didn't want that he's losing control over his life. So he wants to make a declaration that I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul. And whatever gods may be, he places his poem firmly in the here and now. He's not thinking of eternity. And he's putting his thought on dominance and control of his own fate. I'm the master of my fate. The repeated assertion of the self and the self's agency is his autonomy. So now, this makes someone so hard within them, leaving them out of empathy, and they are able to create their own thing. And if it doesn't happen, it ends up in depression. Instead, if you think that there is some higher power, there is a God who's loving, it changes. So now with this one, I wanted to tell the last line. You know, even in Christian kingdom, Christendom, many people believe that by faith, you can alter anything. And by faith, you can claim it. Many faith healers say, just believe that you're healed and act as though you're healed. Don't take medicine, don't go to hospitals, and you will be healed. So I wanted to ask LT Anna whether this is right and on what basis they are telling, and what is his thoughts on this.
Now, I'm not going to use a PowerPoint, but I hope I can make a few points with power. The interesting thing about simplicity, when Jesus said, for example, that we should become like little children, he meant something which can be misunderstood. He meant we should be childlike and not childish. I want to tell you that, in fact, the first half of Dr. Latha's presentation was actually a continuation of Dr. Rebecca's presentation, because she was actually dealing with philosophy. But I do want to make one point at the basis of it, which is a continuation of what I did last time. The ultimate issue boils down to the distinction between the personal and the impersonal. Whether you describe it as imagining all reality is one, which is a famous statement from the Upanishads, Aham Brahmasmi, on which Shankaracharya, Adi Shankara, mentioned that everything is Brahman, everything is divine. Something similar to the Greek principle of the Logos. But when John begins his gospel, he goes on to say, he says, in the beginning was the Logos, but the Logos was with God and the Logos was God, which means that he is putting before us the fact that the personal is above the impersonal. The moment we begin to say, whether from a philosophical point of view or from a scientific point of view, if you say that the impersonal, energy, quantum fluctuation, meditation, connecting with astral bodies, all impersonal relationship, is going to affect my being as a person, we are already putting the cart before the horse. We have to understand that the personal is higher than the impersonal. And I want to tell you, I think I gave this once before, in Feng Shui, which is a Chinese philosophy. If you went to a Feng Shui master, if your marriage is not working out, he would probably tell you or ask you to arrange the furniture in your bedroom in a particular way. Just think about it. Furniture is impersonal. Your relationship to your spouse is personal. Which is higher? If the arrangement of furniture is going to influence positively my relationship with my wife, then I am getting something wrong at a fundamental level. And which is essentially the reason why we need to think of the personal as above the impersonal. And whether it's energy, quantum, whatever you say. In fact, those of you who are in the IT field might have heard of an operating system called Ubuntu. If you Google Ubuntu, you'll get only operating system. But actually, Ubuntu is an African philosophy, which simply translated means we are persons only because of other persons. That means my being a person is amplified only by relating to other persons. My relationship to things is not going to increase my capacity as a person. But let me conclude with this, because we have already taken too much of your time. What about this entanglement? C.S. Lewis has a beautiful statement, as usual. He says that the phenomenon called falling in love will be very odd if it happens in a sexless world. The fact that we are attracted, say, to members of the opposite sex definitely means that we are to satisfy that particular attraction by finding the right person to relate to. But please remember, it does not mean that that attraction creates the other person. It is only an emphasis that there are people For example, our desire for truth means that does not mean that we'll always get truth. It means we are tuned to look for truth. Our desire for justice exactly means that. Our desire for beauty. Therefore, you will find that in every level, the principle, the personal is above the impersonal. The moment we put the impersonal as above the personal, we are already beginning to move in the wrong direction. I will not go into the whole idea of spiritual evil. That is a totally separate topic which needs to be dealt with in a separate session. Over to you, Sherry.
Thank you, LT Uncle, Latha ma'am, and Rebecca. Now we'll be going to the Q&A session. And so what you can do is you can post in your questions in the chat box based on all what the speakers have spoken today. And based on that, we will be taking your questions one by one, including I too might be taking in one or two questions, depending on the time that we have. So please be free to post in your questions in the chat box.
There is one question already, Sherry, from Justin. Let me read it out to you, then you can decide who should answer. In my opinion, thinking about law of attraction as something magical or mysterious is only going to hurt relationships. We have to learn to accept the differences, and if there are differences that you cannot live with, then any attraction you felt does not matter, irrespective of the strength of that attraction. I'm not sure whether speakers would agree with that. So any comments from any of us? I think it's a good question.
So you would take up, Anna?
No, why don't you come at it from your quantum entanglement?
So let me.
No, I'm very happy that you're laughing, because that shows that the answer does not lie in the quantum level. It was at the quantum level, then we will be blaming everything on quantum or everything on Aham Brahmasmi. So there has to be a distinction. There has to be a difference. In fact, the fact that we are created by God, two things I want to mention. First of all, we are made in the image of God. And I think Dr. Latha brought it out very clearly. She said that imagination comes out of our being made in the image of God. The problem is that because we are in a state of rebellion and disobedience to God, imagination can lead us to two opposite ways. One, to positive imagination. That means when I look at something, I begin to appreciate it. And the other is a negative imagination. I cannot see anything positive. In fact, I had a colleague in the government, Mr. Santosh Kumar Agarwal. We had a joke about him. He was such a pessimist that I used to say that Mr. Agarwal cannot even see anything positive in a plus sign. I don't know whether you have come across such pessimists. But the fact of the matter is the positive energy does not spring from nowhere. It is an indication, a signpost. N.T. Wright, in his recent book, Broken Signposts, he talks about some of these are desires for justice and love and beauty as signposts, not completed signposts. They are broken signposts, but they show a particular direction. Now, what Drs. Latha and Rebecca shared with us is approaching this question from angles which are subpersonal or impersonal. And those approaches, in my humble view, would not lead to satisfactory answers.
So my answer for that is whatever he has written, thinking about law of attraction as something magical or mysterious is only going to hurt relationships. There is no person in this world that you're going to agree with on every point. So what about if you have only attraction and there are a lot of differences you cannot even live with? So yes, that's what he says. That is true. But this law of attraction is to get a person, not after getting a person. Once you get a person, the attraction sometimes fades off, right? Because of their character. So I think that he wants to mean that. So many times through law of attraction, you try to attract a person and get him for you without knowing he's an abuser or without knowing he's a murderer, just because you are entangled with that person. And many times these codependent people will get entangled with narcissistic people. That is the normal route. If you see, codependency and narcissism goes together. So any people who are just longing for relationships, they'll end up with a narcissistic. So many times this law of attraction, to use that and get a husband or a wife, they'll end up in disaster. So I agree with him.
May I make a point about anti-aging? In fact, I was speaking to a young couple. They're not yet married. Both are medical students. They hope to get married. And I told them that one of the ways I have, when people ask me, how are you so young? I said, it is because of the younger generation. They keep asking me questions. They keep picking my brain. And I have decided not to stop learning. People who think they have arrived are the ones who age. People who know that they are works in progress are those who will never age. Because once you stop learning, you start fossilizing, and fossils are meant for the museum.
There are two questions that have been posted. One is by Peter. Where do intuition, instinctive behavior, sixth sense fit in? ESP, and are they in the realm of the supernatural and therefore evil? That's one question. So where do you see, like, things like sixth sense, ESP, extrasensory perception, the intuition? Sometimes we have an idea that something will be wrong. There's no reason as such, but it's like a feeling as such. So where does it fall under the realm of the supernatural or the natural, or and therefore is it evil when all those things take place?
So who is taking? Anna is taking?
I can answer that.
Okay.
I would not say that ESP and intuition and all is necessarily evil. I mean, it's just, intuition or a gut feeling, what you call it as a gut feeling. It just comes from your unconscious and your subconscious parts of your consciousness. There are many theories for it. Genetic memory, for instance, because we have all come from the same ancestors, and human beings have got certain memories in our genes of how our ancestors survived in certain situations. So those survival mechanisms that have been built into our genes, they will help us in dangerous situations today as well. So in essence, the experience of our ancestors could be coming to us through our genetic makeup, and also from things that you have read or watched on TV or heard from someone. They will be there in your subconscious and unconscious aspects of your psyche, and that comes to you in the form of intuition or gut feeling. Extrasensory perception is not really proven by peer-reviewed journals and stuff. It's considered as a pseudoscience by mainstream scientists, but paranormal experts do say that some people have ESP and that they can see spirits and converse with the spirits and all that. I mean, if it is something that you have naturally, I've heard that some people have it naturally from birth. Obviously, that would not be a sin, but if you are actually going into occult activities, invoking spirits, etc., to gain powers to do this, then that is going to be dangerous.
So thank you, Rebecca. That's a very good answer. So intuition, I feel, exists in all of us, whether we acknowledge it or not. So I think we can use it sometime, because this intuition, the feeling, that's a feeling that something is off, something needs our attention. So that's a quiet voice. Sometimes that intuition is given by even God. Once or twice, I was woken up in the morning and I was asked to pray. So once I prayed for my dad, and then next day morning when I prayed around 4 o'clock. When I called him, he said, yes, I was struggling at that time. So sometimes God gives us thoughts in our mind, subconscious, to pray, but that is from God. But sometimes even in our own, our brain has a decision making in the front, and another part of the brain even has the subconscious thoughts in us. And when we think of someone, our children, so much, and something is wrong, they are going to do something wrong, something within us will tell that this is not. Many people have acknowledged. And as Rebecca said, some have their antennas so powerful, they'll be able to see the spiritual world a little easier than the others. But it's better not to get more into the spiritual world, because I would say God exists in very beyond the dimensions. There are many dimensions in this world. So the spirit beings exist in some dimensions. They may be good or they may be bad. So instead of looking into spirit beings, you look at something beyond the spirit beings, that is God, who created the spirit beings. So then you will be at rest. You will not be entering into all these things, but you will be God conscious, and you will get your spirit aligned with God's spirit, and God gives you the secrets of the world, secrets of your life. And that will be beautiful.
So just limiting ourselves to the question, I would like to supplement what Dr. Rebecca mentioned. The subconscious is also fed by what you think at the conscious level. See, that is how addictions are formed. And it comes back to the imagination that Dr. Latha was speaking about, which is part of God's characteristic. See, after all, when he created the world, he used his imagination. But because we are in a state of rebellion against God, we have this problem that imagination can be used positively as well as negatively. And for example, Paul can say that you get angry, but don't let your anger continue when the sun goes down. By that, you will be giving a foothold to the devil, which means that you are now making yourself an angry person at the subconscious level, that sometimes even without your realizing it, you can burst out in a bad temper. So I think that we need to deal with without going into the spiritual dimension, because I think it's very easy to talk about the spiritual without realizing that there is personal moral responsibility for the many things that we do. Sometimes we blame the devil too much, and the devil is very happy about it, as long as you don't accept responsibility. So that becomes very important.
Hi, my name is Rahul.
Yeah, Rahul, tell me.
No, first of all, I'm so sorry. Like I said, I joined the meeting quite a bit late. I joined only when you were speaking about energy from the perspective of sound and vibrations.
Okay. So might be I feel that you would have tried something different belief systems, and then when you're doing it, there is something called placebo effect also. There is something called placebo effect and your confirmation bias. And you feel confirmed that what is happening, what I'm doing, it is giving me that calmness. Because meditation many times really gives calmness. But when you meditate with an empty mind, sometimes it becomes very dangerous. So they say meditate with the word of God. That's what we normally teach about. Because when you make your mind empty, the spiritual world can enter into you. So, but in your case, you're feeling the happy effect and you are able to cope up with that. But you are that 432 hertz, I'll just finish it. I have explained clearly. 432 hertz is not your body frequency. Your alpha frequency of your brain is just 8 to 12. And even the Earth's frequency is 7.83 hertz. So 432 hertz, that music and others, has no scientific basis.
I do not understand the concept of chakras very much, but I would like to share what I'm like my limited understanding of it. So when I say like every part of me is conscious, every cell of me is conscious, probably there's some spirit or life around me in the universe, outside of my body also, and which I absorb this, I take this inside my body when I breathe air. Like through air is how I believe I absorb life. Like breath is life for me. And that's why meditation also makes sense. And when I believe life and consciousness is transported through body through, I mean, you understand the concept of chi, right? Like chi and chi energy. And there's multiple channels in the body. And supposedly there are certain junctions where like different channels, I mean, you can imagine these like blood vessels, right? Like, and then there are certain like traffic junctions. So these junctions is what people call chakras. And maybe chanting certain mantras or at a certain or music or sound at a particular frequency can activate and have a positive impact on these chakras. Which, when I say positive impact, this is all I mean. Whatever consciousness that my body is trying to transport all over my body, I'll call it like a traffic jam. Maybe something happened, maybe something went wrong in these channels and it's not being transported properly. And chanting is for me a way to cleanse this and let's say declutter these junctions, right? So that is how it's been working for me. And
in the first chapter of the Bible, God says that it is without his presence, nothing can come. So even science, when you go back and check it up, quantum fluctuations have created a whole universe, they say. But quantum fluctuations cannot create such a beautifully tuned universe. There should be a designer. You check up each and every point. You are living in this earth. This earth, you try to find out if there are any other planets around it that has life. They have tried so much. They are seeing many planets that revolve around their own star. Till now, they have not found one planet. It's called as exoplanet that has life. Till now. Why? Because there are so many protection, layer after layer has been done for this earth so that life can exist. And the first life, how it started, and from non-life to life, that is chemistry becoming biology, no scientist can tell. So everything came automatically on its own. The universe creating itself on its own is really a blunder, I would say, because no one can answer that. Somebody beyond time, space, and matter need to be there. And he had to bring in life. And the first chapter of the Bible does not say in 6 days God created. It is the number of days. It can be 6 days of revelation. So it can be any billions of years. God, but it clearly says there is a God beyond time, space, and matter. So now your evolutionary concept I'm trying to clear. Let me ask Rebecca to clear your chakra concept.
Regarding your evolution issue, it's you probably heard of the young Earth. You must have heard priests on TV talking about creation happening only in 6 days, right? Is that your issue?
No, I mean part of the issue, but fundamentally, I mean, it's rare for me to have come across people who can even accept that. Okay, yeah, like 6 days can be any number of any certain hundreds of thousands of years.
But many theologians they don't go for that 6-day thing. There are many who go for the old Earth hypothesis. We believe that it's the Earth is many millions of years old because we don't take that 6-day thing to, it does not have to come consecutive days. They could be millions of other years in between. And all Christians believe in evolution. We believe in microevolution, not macro, that everything, that giraffes, elephants, and everything came from the fish in the sea. But we believe in microevolution. The other thing regarding the chakras, I think chakras, if you look at it in the secular perspective, people would say that there are various glands. It starts with the pineal gland in the brain, which is your main head chakra. And then there are other chakra points or centers of energy, as you said, and that these centers of energy are not properly aligned, that they need to be aligned for you to, the reason why the energy centers need to be aligned is very specific. What is your reasoning for it, Rahul? Why do you want your chakras to be aligned? What is
Uh,
the purpose for you to do this?
Very simple, right? For me to like these days, I practice meditation for mainly to deal with my stress and decision
Okay.
making. I
Okay.
don't want to be like I know and I've seen and I've been subject to it how stress can lead me to make wrong decisions
Okay.
or inhibit me from taking the right decisions, if I can say that.
Hmm.
So to be in that state of mind where I say, okay, whatever is happening to me, I need to, so let's say like emotions, right? Any of these emotions, like chemically, like biologically speaking, they cannot like the actual sadness when you're sad, right? Like the biological reaction does not last for more than 90 seconds. Like whatever hormones are making you sad, they don't last for more than 90 seconds. That's how long the reaction in your brain happens. But I tend to stay longer. I tend to stay sad and I dwell in that sadness. And for me to realize it, for me to be in a state where I can say, okay, now that's an entity that's outside of me that's making me sad, and I need to be kind of immune to it and to deal with it. So basically, to put myself in that state of mind is why I practice aligning my chakras. And yes, I very well understand uh, it can go wrong, and it's gone wrong for a lot of people. You also manifested a lot of negative energy or evil energy where you tend to lose control of what's happening to you. With that in mind, I tend to practice this very carefully.
Well,
So
if
what do
you
you
are
mean by
sad, let me finish, Yaka. Well, if you're sad and you're sad for longer periods of time that other people, it's possible, maybe I'm not a trained psychiatrist, but maybe it's possible that you are clinically depressed if you're all the time, if you're sad. So, you would need to get yourself evaluated by a professional. Regarding these energy centers getting aligned and that helping you out of depression or sadness, there's really no scientific evidence for it. The reason why it is practiced in Eastern philosophies is there's a very specific reason for the serpent energy that is coiled at the base of your spine, which is called the Kundalini energy, which is a feminine goddess energy. Once your energy centers are aligned, then the goddess energy can uncoil from the base of your spine, travel upwards, and it can fuse with your Shiva consciousness or your God consciousness, which is in your brain. And when that happens, your third eye is opened, you are enlightened, and you realize that you are connected with the divine. You realize that you are, in fact, God. So that is the reason why they do this in Eastern philosophy. It's a very specific spiritual reason. It's a spiritual, mystical reason. It's got nothing to do with curing depression and all of that. I mean, if you're depressed, you need to go see a psychiatrist. It's due to neurohormones in your brain. You need to take the medication to improve your hormones and all of that. Okay, this can possibly make you feel better due to some sort of a placebo effect of short term, but long term clinical depression has to be treated properly, by medical practitioners. Now, regarding the chanting, depending on what you chant, I don't know what you chant. What do you chant? Just out of curiosity, is it like
I
Sanskrit slokas
Yeah,
or?
yeah, yeah. Sanskrit slokas
Yeah, so
mostly.
each one, if you say Om Namah Shiva or whatever it is, it's an invocation to
Correct.
a particular deity or particular spiritual being, right? So you're
Yeah.
invoking it, and that is going to help you feel better. So whether I'm not going to tell you whether it's right or wrong. I would not do it because I'm a Christian. Uh,
Correct.
really depends on you, but these are due to spiritual entities are out there. And energy, when you say energy, it sounds very it can be heat energy, light energy.
It's
Energy
very
does
abstract.
not have consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Consciousness is the ability to think, reason. Energy itself, heat and light, does not really have consciousness. It's not alive. But these are actual spiritual beings which can think. They have a personality, they have a consciousness. So if you invoke it, then it can help you, it can cause harm, whatever it is. I'm not familiar intimately with these spiritual beings, but that is a decision that you must take, whether you want to invoke them or not. But regarding aligning your chakras, long term, it's not going to help anybody with serious depression and all that. In fact, studies have shown that this can make psychosis worse. It can make certain mental illness worse, in fact. So if you really have an issue, then you need to get yourself evaluated. And as I said, in Eastern philosophy, the chakra aligning and yoga and meditation is used for a very specific spiritual practice to gain, not for anything else. And regarding the calcification of the pineal gland, there's nothing scientific about it. It might be a Eastern medical idea, I don't know. But in allopathic medicine or Western medicine, your pineal gland does not get calcified, and you cannot decalcify it by meditation and all that. It doesn't work that way.
Can I just also quickly just respond to Rahul on this?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the topic for today was, one of the things that we were looking into